Good afternoon, everyone. Gevorg, aka the All Elite Gooner here. This time with the match recap and my player ratings for Arsenal's narrow 1-0 victory over Norwich today in the Premier League. So going into this match, we just had a 2-week international break. Lots of tension behind the scenes, particularly in regards to Mikel Arteta and Edu's jobs, because frankly the first few weeks and some instances carrying over from last season have not been very encouraging, to say the least. So it's been a general consensus among most Arsenal fans that Arteta's job is definitely on the line. He's been on pretty thin ice for a good chunk of time. That ice is paper thin at this point, I would say. Whether the board feels the same way, we don't know. Depending on which sources you listen to, they have some people they're talking to, they have some alternatives lined up in case things continue to go south for us. But as of right now, Arteta is still in charge, and he is the person we are backing. Most of us want to see him do well, former player, but the first 3 matches were absolutely piss poor. Yeah, there were some reasons why. COVID had definitely taken their toll on a lot of our first team players, missing a lot of players due to COVID or due to injury. So this was one of the first weeks where Arteta had a majority of his first team available to him. The team he fielded was, I would say, mostly his best 11. There may be a couple players that you would be swapped out, but for the most part, it was a very strong side, and a side that should have gone out there and done the job, and done it in, I would have expected, fairly dominating fashion, because frankly Norwich are, no disrespect to them, but probably the worst side in the Premier League. And we were at home with a point to prove. So he put out a strong 11, 4-2-3-1, gave a Premier League debut to Aaron Ramsdale, instant debut to Tomiyasu at right back, and we saw a couple surprise picks. We had Maitland-Niles in midfield, and then a good chunk of the rest of the lineup kind of picked itself. It was what we would have expected. So let's start with the good. We won. We have a win. Yay. We're no longer bottom of the table. 3 points. We had lots of chances. We created a lot of chances. I believe we had 30 shots today, which is good. However, we had 1 goal. A very ugly fluke goal, I would even say, which almost was taken away from us because it was pretty close offside decision. I wouldn't say anyone played very well. I wouldn't say there was anyone that I would say did fantastic and blew me away, but there were some decent performances out there. Primarily some of the new selections. Ramsdale, I thought, was pretty confident in goal. He didn't have too much to do. Didn't have any, fantastic saves to make, but he was assured. He communicated well, and ultimately a clean sheet on his Premier League debut for Arsenal. Tomiyasu was very good. I would say he was one of the best players on the pitch for us today. He made it about 62 minutes or so until he was subbed off. So that was a very encouraging debut, and you could definitely see that right side of the pitch worked much better with him in the lineup compared to some of our other options that we've been using, Cedric, Callum Chambers. So yeah, very encouraging start for him. Created a lot of chances, but were ultimately very wasteful. I was not happy with this performance. If we play this way against any other side, we're not getting 3 points. So ultimately, yes, we got the win, which is the most important thing, but I am not encouraged by this performance. It is not enough for me to say, all right, Arteta, keep going. You're on the, maybe this is a start to something. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it, at least based on that performance. What most fans wanted after this international break were wins against Norwich, wins against Burnley, a win in the League Cup tie coming up, taking us to that huge North London derby with Tottenham. So we got the win, but the performance is something that is very concerning. When you create that many chances, they need to be finished. Far too often did our players get the ball on the edge of the box or have the ball in a good attacking position and just take too long. Far too long to make a decision, and they ultimately made a decision. It was the wrong one. A lot of blocks, some of which were because of how much we dilly-dallied. We simply did not play the ball quick enough when we were in good positions. So, let me go through the lineup and assign some player ratings. Starting with the goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale. Strong debut. I don't want to give him anything too great because he didn't have too much to do, but ultimately a clean sheet. I give him a 7 out of 10. Right back, Tomiyasu. Very good first performance for us. Ultimately, he was one of our best players on the pitch, and I believe he only had one training session with the squad leading up to this. Because you have to remember, he was away. He just got back. He got their work permit sorted out and trained yesterday, and here he is. Did very well. Strong defensively. Definitely, we saw some more of Pepe today than we had in earlier weeks because I believe Tomiyasu got him the ball a little bit better. He freed him up a little bit more than he has been. He wasn't stuck 1-on-3 like he had been in prior matches. So yeah, ultimately, strong 62 minutes for him or whatever it was. I give him a 7 out of 10. Center backs. We finally got to see our first choice, what all of us think is our first choice center back pairing, Ben White and Gabriel. Both, I thought, worked pretty well with one another. They complemented each other pretty well. Ben White, obviously, on the right side, very calm under pressure, had some really good moments where he was pressed and he got out of it cool as the other side of the pillow. Played one really fantastic pass to Pepe, which ultimately nothing really came out of, but it was fantastic. It was under pressure, released the ball pretty quickly, right to Pepe. So hopefully we see more of that. Ben White, 7 out of 10. Gabriel, similarly, was very strong, and like Ben White, wasn't in trouble too often. Did clear the danger a few times, made some good last ditch tackles. Also give him a 7 out of 10. And going back to Ben White, I would also like to say that he was a lot better in the air today than in the one prior match he had for us. So just going back there just to mention that. Left back was Kieran Tierney, of course. We still haven't seen the best of Tierney this season. And today, he was a little bit better, more encouraging than what we'd seen in prior weeks, but still not his best. I would say it was an average performance by him. Got forward fairly well, but his delivery was kind of poor. I would give him a 6 out of 10. Midfield pairing today was Maitland-Niles and Sambi Lokonga. Both I think played fairly well. We all expected Partey to start today, but I believe they may have wanted to be a little more cautious with him because, Thomas Partey is our best midfielder, and we want him fit for all of our Premier League matches this season. So I think it was the right choice, giving him only the last 30 or so minutes. So we got Maitland-Niles and we had Lokonga in midfield. Lokonga was very good, I would say. Collected the ball very well from the defense, fairly cool under pressure. Didn't play as many risky forward passes as I would have liked to see him play, but thought he played a very safe and controlled game. I'd give him a 6.5. 6.5 for Lokonga. And he was subbed off around the 60-minute mark. Maitland-Niles did fairly well as well. We all, obviously, media has been reporting all sorts of stuff about Ainsley. We all know about his Instagram post where he, before the deadline ended, where he looked like he wanted to move to go somewhere and play. He was convinced to stay, but apparently there were some rumors that he had been demoted to train with the under 23s. Clearly, when he's starting in midfield and then finishing the game off in right back, that was not true. Or if it was, it has been resolved. Ainsley, I think, did pretty well. He has a few good moments, but of course, those problems that we've noticed with him in the past in midfield were still there. Sometimes took too many touches, and got himself into trouble. There was one good moment where he had some space on the edge of our edge of the box. He had a couple of options to pass to, decided to dribble a little bit too long, and we lost the ball, and Norwich were on a counter. But I'd give him a 6 out of 10. Decent performance. And our number 10, Odegaard. Odegaard, I thought, started off very well. I would also like to say that Peacock sucks. So all of us American viewers missed the first 9 minutes of the match. I have, of course, gone back and watched that, but fuck you, Peacock. Get your shit together. Odegaard started off very brightly. First half, you could see how much he wanted the ball. He kept asking for it. He made a lot happen. He played a couple of really good balls. One brilliant one to Aubameyang early in the first half. Kind of faded a little bit as that first half wore on. Second half, he was a little bit more involved. I want to see more from him. A little more end product. Had a couple of good opportunities to shoot, but took too long. Took far too long to make up his mind. But still an encouraging display. I would give Odegaard 6.5. Moving on to our right winger, which was Pepe today. I am a big Pepe fan, despite the fact that he is very inconsistent with the right setup. I believe he is an absolute world beater, and he can be one. We haven't seen it consistently yet. Today, first half, he was poor. His touch let him down a lot. Brandon Williams definitely got the best of him. Second half, he was much better. Much better in the second half. Looked like our biggest threat. Ultimately, our goal came from some really good work on his part. But it's tough to grade Pepe, because if I was going by the first half, it would have been a 4, 5 out of 10. Second half, it was closer to an 8. But I would give Pepe, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I'll give him the benefit of doubt because he did ultimately have an assist, if you want to call it that, and he created 7 chances, which is very good. End product was poor, so still needs to improve there. 7 out of 10. On the left, we had Saka, who started off very slow compared to the rest of the team. He was not as lively. He definitely looked better in the second half as well. Had some really good moments. Norwich definitely looked afraid of him. They fouled him a lot. But, he was pretty good. Not his best either. I would give Saka a 6 out of 10. He also should have had a goal. But, as you can see, we didn't have many of those. And then our striker, Aubameyang. He's the one that got the goal. Hideous goal. Was I happy we got a goal and we won the match? Yeah, but was it a kind of goal that I'm going to jump out of my seat and celebrate? No, it was ugly as shit. I don't celebrate ugly goals unless, obviously if it's a cup final and we win with an ugly goal, yeah, best believe I'm going to be celebrating. But in a league match, I want to be excited, and that goal is not something that's going to excite me. I'm sure people will criticize that, the way I view things like that way. You should be excited over every goal. No, that goal did not excite me. That goal started with a brilliant pass by Thomas Partey, and then Pepe had 2 opportunities to finish, neither of which went his way. Ultimately, ball fell to Aubameyang, and he got it over the line. He could have had more than one, but it was just a 1 goal for him today. But it's the one that won us the match, so I would give him 7.5. And he would be my man of the match because he ultimately had the winning goal. So 7.5 for Aubameyang. Subs, we brought on Partey and Smith Rowe first. It was a double substitution for Lokonga and for Tomiyasu. We had Maitland-Niles switch to right back, and we had Partey slot in midfield. Partey looked great. Of course, it was his pass that kind of kicked off our goal. Can't wait to see more of him. I hope he's fully fit and he's ready to kick on, because he is probably our most important player for this season. Partey did well when he was on, 7 out of 10. Smith Rowe, every time he gets the ball, he wants something. He wants to make something happen, and you could see that today. He did very well in his 30-minute appearance, at least until he got to that final third. Once he was in that on the edge of the box, like a lot of the players on the team today, he made the wrong decision. He also should have scored, but it didn't happen for him today. His end product does need to get better. That's literally the only thing separating Emil Smith Rowe from being taking that next step, is his end product, and I want to see that improve. Young player, I think it will. Same with Saka. End product will improve. Smith Rowe, I'd give him a 7 out of 10 as well. And finally, Cedric came on to shore things up at the end. Maitland-Niles looked absolutely knackered, and Cedric had a horrible shot that's probably still orbiting the planet somewhere, hasn't come down yet, but he made a very crucial block near the end of the match too. Didn't play too much, but give him a standard 6. Arteta, I would give Arteta a 6 out of 10 for today. He did win the match. He put out a good lineup, but the tactics still left a lot to be desired. Norwich had moments where they looked like they could score on us, and ultimately we did not convert the chances that we created. That's what we need to improve on. We had 30 shots, many of them were blocked, 6 or 7 were on target, and it's Norwich at home. You know, is it too much to ask for some goals against Norwich City at home? Where if you look at it man by man, you compare every single player that we fielded with every single player that Norwich fielded. Every player we had was better than them. We have better players at every position than Norwich City. So yes, I wanted to see a little bit more dominance, a little bit more of the ball, better shot conversion. So we got the win. The job is still safe. We need to do better next week against Burnley. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.